Well, hello, human. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Be You Get Paid podcast. I'm your host, Amy Taylor, and I have one goal by being in your ears: to explore as many conversations and perspectives as possible on stuff we did not learn in school. You know, stuff that would have actually helped a lot more of us thrive rather than just survive as grown-ups in an often challenging and ever-changing world. As the title might suggest, this includes anything involved with knowing ourselves, understanding money, and generally anything that might offer some insight into how we can all be happier humans. With that in mind, wherever you're listening, you'll find links to some of the best resources I have personally found to help with all of those things. Sometimes I'll talk about these in a bit more detail, and I want you to know I will only ever recommend products, services, and companies that I am a customer or user of myself. Now, we're all grown-ups here, and as such, you'll possibly hear the occasional use of grown-up language. More importantly, anything discussed here is personal opinion and intended for conversational and educational purposes only, and should not be taken as financial or investment advice. That's the housekeeping done. Let's get into what I hope is some helpful chat. Welcome back to the Be You Get Paid podcast. I'm here with my friend Ash Davidson, aka Market Mobster, previously known when I first met you as Crypto Mobster, which there's part of me now as more of a Bitcoiner that kind of goes, I'm not sure how I feel about that, but that's exactly why I wanted to talk to you. Ash is according to your Twitter bio, which I completely agree with, realistic, objective and outspoken. We love that. YouTube and Twitter influencer. And you're kind of mostly focusing on the crypto and Bitcoin markets, but I know you do. You'll tell us in a minute, but you also sort of have one foot in stocks and shares and stuff that I don't understand and find quite boring. But you know your stuff. So tell us a bit more introduce yourself, tell us sort of where you grew up, what your career before all this stuff was, because I want to go through your influencer journey too, because you've got quite a big following on YouTube and Twitter, and a lot of people in the space I'm in haven't done that organically, and I think watching what you've done with your brand is really, really cool, really inspiring. So yeah, what were you doing before you were Market Mobster?
Oh wow,
with your funny
long
accent
journey,
in the north of England that no one can guess where
so
you're
yeah
from.
Yeah, I think people know where I'm from now because it's starting to wear off. So when I first started doing videos, I was in the Air Force, but I'll go to that in a minute. But yeah, a lot of people used to guess my accent. And so my journey with the internet kind of was back when I was 13, really, in terms of making websites. Oddly.
At 13?
About random stuff. Yeah. Like
you
free webs
I did not know that.
clan websites and stuff like that. So I did that. I went to university, did a policing course, and I was then tasked with doing a website for like drug and alcohol kind of stuff as a little project. So I did that, learned WordPress through that. And then I did like a football website, which is mad. So the football website itself actually did really well. Got like a million.
How old were you?
This was 2012. So I was about, quite, not early 20s, give or take.
And were
so
you
not
in
that
the Air
long
Force
ago,
at this point, or is this?
No, this was just before.
Okay.
So I joined the Air Force in 2013, or the end of 2013. But yeah, that website was doing pretty well, to be fair. But yeah, like overall, I just learnt it and just got involved in that. But that's actually when I first learned about Bitcoin in 2012, 2013, looking at some SEO websites. And I didn't invest back in those days because I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
Plus, I was also going through basic training. I came back to it again eventually, but yeah, that's when I first learned of it. But look, in a way, it's kind of like a good thing because that's when Mt. Gox happened. So yeah, kind of like one of those. But yeah, so I've always had this kind of knack.
For anyone who doesn't know what Mt. Gox was, it was an exchange, right? It was a Bitcoin exchange or a crypto exchange.
Oh god!
It just basically closed its doors and kept everyone's money years ago, and they're just 8-9 years later starting to give all that money back.
Yeah, back in those days, you used to send checks through the mail to Japan, and it randomly Bitcoin would appear 2 weeks later in your account. I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
So
sorry,
yeah,
I cut you off. So that was then.
a long time ago. The problem was with all this, I was obviously going through training and stuff, but the reality was I wasn't ready to invest because I didn't, one, have the money because I was still quite young, leaving what was a delivery driver role in B&Q, going into the Air Force, into this new world. It's like crazy. But yeah, it comes full circle due to boredom, realistically. So I learned about property investing, stock market investing whilst traveling in the Air Force. I would do a lot of traveling, protection of aircraft, protection of personnel, stuff like that. So I was doing a lot of stuff overseas. I was actually stuck in your neck of the woods for like 3-4 weeks, which was interesting.
Australia.
But yeah, well, the plane broke, didn't it? So it breaks in nice places in the Air Force, would you believe? So if you're ever wondering
Darwin,
what we do,
weren't
not
you?
a lot. Darwin and Cairns for like 4 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
Darwin's not very good. Oh.
No, not somewhere I put on my list.
Really hot and really like odd. It's an odd place.
Yeah.
But yeah. So with all that, I was learning a lot, like, and then I had money. And then obviously in 2016, I was buying Bitcoin, which was quite early in those days when it was about $600, $700. And then I started throwing my money, I'll say money, a little bit of money into altcoins in early 2017 before the ICO boom went. And oh my God. And just by me talking about it on my Facebook page, literally my Facebook profile, people were interested, and I made like a group back in the day. This was in 2017 called the Crypto Mob. Random name. I found it on the internet. I thought I quite like the mob. I quite like crypto, and I thought I'd just combine them as a group. Makes sense. Hence why it all kind of went that way. But
just like a free group where people could connect, and
it blew up.
I bet it did.
I remember it just growing by like 500 members per day for like a couple of weeks. I was like, oh, what's happening? I was like, I just didn't know what to do. This was before I had a YouTube. This was before I was doing crypto related tweets, before I had anything. And I was just doing like free courses on Udemy just to try and help people how to buy Bitcoin, how to do this. And this was before ledgers. This was before Binance was around. This was like old stuff, like proper archaic crypto. And it was like this, the skill fade now you may think is quite high, but back in those days it was unbelievably different. Like, you know, you had to transfer files to your computer to get into your wallet. Like there was no such thing as a ledger or an encryption or 2FA or anything like this. It was mental. So yeah, it just took off. And I'm quite an advocate of like, I didn't really want the audience, but I've got it. Just through circumstance, because it happened so quickly. I wasn't ready for it.
Right time, right
I've just
place,
been growing and building. Yeah, put it that way. It has been all organic and scary at the same time, because no one's you're not born knowing how to deal with followers, and when they are very loyal. My followers, very loyal, so it's kind of one of those things where it's good, but also it's like when I get someone who's not loyal or someone who's like totally out of my circle and like they just bombard you with stupid questions, I'm like, I don't like you. I don't like this. You know, you just want to hide away a little bit, because you do get it. You get it a lot, especially in the bull cycles. You get absolutely battered with questions, and it's just the nature of the beast. I'm afraid.
Quick question on that just came to my head. Do you consider yourself a natural extrovert?
Kind of.
Yeah. Okay.
Ish.
I wouldn't
know.
know, because I've met so many people that like do video content and are just the opposite in real life. Like one of my first mentors is like that. He's amazing on camera, delivers courses, speaks on stage, does all sorts of stuff. But in person, he's quite introverted, and he is a self-confessed natural introvert. So I wasn't sure with you, because I've only ever seen you through a screen.
Well, when I was in the Air Force, I was always the grey man. I was always the person that would think behind the scenes and do it that way instead of being in front of the group.
Right.
But I've always been, I'm quite confident, but I know when to just sit and take things in. So maybe a mixture of both, really. But I am a lot more confident in front of the screen. But it's also what you see through years of experience. I started first doing tutorial videos in 2017. But before that, I had my football website where I do like stuff on screen. And even before then, I'd do like little recordings of stuff. And back then, you just got better. And even through online gaming, random example, but talking and playing on a microphone sort of situation, you get confident with a screen, where some people, and I say this a lot, like you got keyboard warriors, and you got the people that like the 2% who want to pick up the microphone and actually articulate what they're thinking.
Do something
Those
useful.
are the people you want to be. Yeah, you want to be that person because you will
Yeah.
get more confident, and also you learn more, in my opinion anyways. You definitely learn more if you'd like speaking it out.
So it's really interesting that I didn't know your football website story. What was that, just quickly in a nutshell? What kind of website was it? What were you doing?
Weirdly, it's like it's gone full circle. So it was a website called Bread and Butter Football, but it was football articles that people would submit onto a platform, which is very similar to what my company's doing now in terms of like a front page of article written content made by other people, like tutorials and stuff. But it was more football based, so it was a bit different.
So like a community
it was on
type
like
thing? Forum?
Yeah, it was on
Okay.
like the football blogging awards and stuff like that in like 2015, and it got like a million page views a month and stuff. It was doing really well, but obviously I was in the Air Force, and it kind of just like fizzled away when all these paid memberships and all social media in that side of it adapted. And then we just kind of fell off the bandwagon a little bit, but we didn't do memberships or anything, whereas everyone else was making money doing memberships, and we were just stood still, and
Were you
just
selling
wasn't
ads?
working out, to be fair.
Because that would have been right back
No,
at the
nothing.
beginning of... So how were you... Was it monetized?
No, it was literally
Just
like
for fun,
we
just
only
community?
made we made a little bit off like affiliate links, like to what was it? We had like, is it a football? Oh, I can't remember the name of it now. Like just a distribution center of football gear, like shin pads, boots, football shirts and stuff. But that was only a little bit of percentages, but nothing massive, like at all. It was tiny. So that was like my first kind of introduction to making money properly online, though.
Yeah. I did not know that story. That's really cool. That's like a bonus little insight into your background.
Yeah.
Because, well, you do... I agree with everything you've just said. You learn by doing, you pick up more experience, but you would have started before social media even really blew up fully. Yeah. I can imagine in 2017 for crypto, getting a Facebook group going would have been the big thing. I personally cannot bear Facebook anymore, and I don't want to be anywhere near Facebook groups.
Agreed.
And in the coaching space that I'm in, there's every coach and every man and his dog sells free Facebook community with their courses or with their coaching. And I'm like, the last thing anyone who's investing in coaching needs is more Facebook. And I just don't want to do it. So I'm glad you moved away from that, because I don't think I would have found you. You still had that group when I first found you. And it was just...
I've still got it. It's...
Oh, do you?
Oh, it's got like 25,000 people in it, and we hardly use it. Like we put
Facebook's
something in it,
downhill.
and it just goes into the void, and
Yeah.
they've killed them.
No, I think I found you on YouTube. So I found you... I had a similar experience to a lot of people in getting into crypto via a Ponzi scam, MLM, US high tech. In 2017, I am going to name it because it doesn't exist anymore, and I'm sure there'll be people out there that got sucked in the same way. But I don't resent it, because I genuinely don't think I'd have discovered Bitcoin if it wasn't for that. But I went through what I now see so many people going through, and my partner and I have got friends who are reaching out occasionally at the moment, because you can feel the momentum building up to the next bull cycle, and they're like, oh, look at this metaverse thing, and it's like, this is just pure MLM scammy. It's awful. But we've just had to say to one another so many times, like, just let them go through it, because that's, unfortunately, some people need to get burnt before they decide whether or not they're going to keep learning. And so 2017, I was the same. So when the pandemic broke out, I've told this story a few times. My mum ended up in Australia. I had, in the recent years, discovered that her financial situation for retirement wasn't that great. She'd lost her husband, and other than their house, they didn't really have any money. And I was like, well, I need to start investing on her behalf and for myself. And the pandemic, fortunately, gave me time. I was fortunately in a position where I had time on my hands. And so I thought, well, this Bitcoin thing had been still in my head, and I'd been learning a little bit about Bitcoin. I found you ahead of putting money into the crypto market, and I did buy altcoins. But what I liked about you is just, you know, you clearly had done well and you knew what you were talking about, but you just, I don't know if it was because you were English or you were just quite laid back, but you just naturally seemed to care. Like you were always talking about risk management. You were always talking about doing your due diligence. So I had no problem buying all your courses and swatting up. I was well versed in online education at that point and the value of it. So obviously, if people keep listening, you're going to tell us the price of Bitcoin and how to make $1,000 into $1 million by 6 months from now. Just kidding. But those were the kind of things that you were saying, and it was like, this is a huge opportunity, but don't put any more money in than you can afford to lose, which I totally did. But it's the risk reward thing. Like, you obviously believe in the crypto market, but you just have a few pointers, which we'll probably wrap up with at the end. And you just seemed like a genuine dude. So well done, because I think you genuinely do care about people. But what's your view? I was going to ask this question at the end. What's your kind of what are the most common things you see people coming into this space as beginners do wrong that they should avoid or be aware of, in your view?
How long have you got?
Exactly.
Because I'm in a privileged position as an influencer and also a founder of a training company where people are open and tell me what they've done. Like, very open. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind it, but it scares me because people come in and they do not learn first. Simple as that. They literally put their money in a conversation at the pub, at the football ground, wherever, because they've got in a conversation with someone and they just do it there and then. They have no idea what they're buying because person A and person B around them have made money somehow. Mm-hmm. And they're now person C trying to make money and follow in. And it happens all the time. I have people that still learn, understand from 2-3 years ago, still in my community, always learning, always getting better and improving. And then you got the people that are like the quick cash people. I want to make money now. What do I buy? What are your thoughts on this coin? I want to buy it. Great. Lovely. Crack on. Those are the people you cannot teach, but you can eventually, over time. It's like they've got to hit the investment rock bottom of, I've lost all my money. I need to learn. My company does better in the bear market than it does in the bull market. I know it sounds mad, but it does. It's like we make more money when the prices are down because people have realised they've lost all the money they need to learn versus 100x altcoins, put it into YouTube, let's watch this video, let's watch that video, let's put money into these little 3 coins. But they don't make money, they're just getting dumped on eventually. So
that's probably a good time to give us your thoughts on influencers in the crypto space. What should people know? I know you have some strong thoughts on this.
They are...
Because you're one of them.
I hate being known as an influencer, but I think I'm different. In my Patreon, I put my email list of what I get from companies. I literally print screen my phone and go, oh, look at this. Oh, this exchange has just offered me this much money. This coin's going to be promoted heavily this week. I literally do. I put it in there so people are aware of what is happening. And there's a coin at the minute, I'm not going to name it, that's getting pushed a lot. And it was a sub $500,000 market cap coin. And I tweeted about it saying, if you've got more than 10,000 followers and you are pushing this to your audience, you need to have a little word with yourself because someone will get wrecked. And yes, you're making money, great. But someone down the line won't, because it's basically a founder's cash grab. And I've often said this, the only people that get rich in crypto at the minute is founders and the influencers in the know, because they know what's happening, and then the poor little investors just getting destroyed. And this is why I focus on big cap coins. And if I do go for a low cap, it's like 1%, and I don't talk about it. I don't tell anyone. I put it on my Patreon for transparency, but I don't tweet about it ever. Like, I've got an altcoin that's just sitting there that's like really low market cap, and I've never tweeted about it once. Like, no one's got a clue. But I don't want to be in a position where I can hype something up, because I will, by accident.
People do
loyalty.
Strange things when I think just to make people aware of what Ash is getting at, it's that crypto influencers with big followings are paid a fee to promote something that they may not even have bought themselves, purely because these people have no integrity, no ethics. They're quite happy for someone to go out there and pump something because they're getting their fee and they don't care. And unfortunately, the mentality of the average person, and I was the same when I first started doing online marketing. It's the same when anyone's trying to start a business online. They see likes and followers and the fame, I guess the insight into just having this huge following, thinking that one, it translates to money, which it doesn't. Well, it does, but it doesn't mean that the person who's behind that following has any integrity. And I think that's what you do such a good job of calling it out. And to the point that you get people hating on you saying, oh, you're a miserable git. Or like, it's like, no. And the point as well being that timing the market isn't, the get rich quick just doesn't exist in any industry, even crypto. It's one of the quicker methods to make money if you know what you're doing, but most people don't.
Yeah.
Now, I am here to preach the why of Bitcoin. But if you're anything like me or any other human being, chances are you probably want to cut to the chase of how to buy some. Am I right? Well, you're in luck, my friend, because I have done that legwork for you with the Amber app. I have been a customer of this app for well over a year now, and it has enabled me to put my Bitcoin buying and saving on complete autopilot. So when they reached out to partner up with this podcast, it was a no-brainer for me. There really aren't many places I would trust these days for buying my Bitcoin, but Amber is one of them, partly as they are a Bitcoin-only platform, but also because they have fun and automated features like Buy the Shift and Stack Like a Sailor, which will make a lot of sense if you're hanging out on Twitter and know what the expert investors are doing without having to spend hours of your life learning how to do it too. Head over to bugetpaid.com/Amber or set up your account using BU Get Paid to get $10 in free Bitcoin when you sign up. Get rich quick just doesn't exist in any industry, even crypto. It's one of the quicker methods to make money if you know what you're doing, but most people don't.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that
I could say a lot of things.
Yeah, I know. Just everyone just needs to go and follow you on Twitter and YouTube, and you'll see.
And I'm a lot more calm and measured than I used to be, but I think it's because I've got feelings where what I find is a lot of people that are doing the unorthodox, dirty tactics don't really have that kind of conscience. They don't care. They're like, bat it all off and they go, it's fine, I'm making money. But they don't think about other people, where I'm opposite. I think about the people, because this is why I've taught people for so long. At the end of the day, I don't need the money. Like, that's why my courses are really cheap and affordable. It's just there to basically keep the business going. And the reality is, like, you should be making money as an investor first and not through your followers. Realistically, you've got to walk the walk. And this is what people don't see. They don't see that journey from 2016, 2017, ICO boom, big market crash, COVID crash, into the next bull cycle. And that was hard. That was really hard. But the reality is, I've made so much money through the market by just timing it kind of correctly most of the time. But most people do the opposite. They're like, if I just pump out this content. I mean, there was influencers that were selling toothpaste on Amazon stores literally like 6 months before the entire bull cycle kicked off again. And now the big crypto influencers, then when the market goes red and ugly,
they disappear.
They vanish. Then go back to selling their little FBA products and like, I've just done this. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And I think that's big red flags that people need to be aware of. I mean, like I said at the beginning, there was part of me that, a big advocate of Bitcoin and Bitcoin only. I believe there's 3 categories of cryptocurrencies. Like, there's Bitcoin, and it was one of your guys that said once, and it really landed with me, is Bitcoin is money, everything else is tech speculation. And I think there's 3 categories. That there's Bitcoin, which is money, and if people want to make money, they should be making Bitcoin, which we'll get onto in a minute. That's one of your strategies, and one of the things you teach. And I hear you frequently reminding people of that in your YouTube videos. It's like, let's remember why we're all here. And the second category, I think, is altcoins and tech companies that are genuinely out to do good things and provide services that I do believe Bitcoin is going to usurp everything. I think it will take a very long time. And I do think there's companies and tech projects out there that are genuinely trying to do good things. But then you've also got this third category, which is just utter crap. Some of them are scams. Some of them are just naive, young tech entrepreneurs who think they're onto a good thing. I've actually worked for a company in the past that was one of those. And the further I've gone down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, the more I'm like, I don't see how these things have a long-term future, because if not everything needs to be decentralized. So there are some projects that perhaps solve problems where people don't feel decentralization is a priority. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that in terms of where money and finance is going?
I agree that Bitcoin is, I've always say that Bitcoin's king. Like, it's the best thing ever. The white paper is amazing. Then you've got the innovation. So I'd say that's 2% of the market, and then 98% of the market is literally scam. Not even joking. So for me, you got Bitcoin and the innovation of obviously likes of Ethereum, Polkadot, some of the other stuff around there. But you're going to get to a point where us as individuals, humans, companies, enterprises, whatever, will use blockchain technology, and they don't even need a token. Like, there's already big companies out there that are doing it, like Hyperledger and stuff. And then you've got, as I say, the 98% of let's make a music platform with a token. You don't need that. Like, there was one that came up in my group like the other week. Clinical trials of medicine. It's a token. There's a dentist coin now. Again, like years ago there was. You don't need tokens like that. They're just literally cash grabs. And then you've got the worst side of the scams, which is the Binance Smart Chain and the meme coins, and like, you know, Joe Biden's watch coin or something random, or it's like sleepy pills. Like, they make up these coins and they're just scams, and all they're doing is they're putting a tax on them, and the founders are getting money off hype, and it's just like, it's rubbish. I think next week or the next few weeks I'm going to do a video of why I hate crypto, like the part I hate, and I think it might be quite a good little ramble, to be fair. To be fair, it'll be therapy for me. It'll be like screaming into the void, just because of that side of the space. It's so messed up. But you get it in normal finance. Traditional finance is the same as well, to be fair.
Oh, so many industries. And I think that's a really good segue into how I've always been of the opinion, well, not always, my ventures into being, you know, soloprenarial and starting a business for myself. And you realise how money is really just an amplifier of what you already are. Like, it's gonna bring up all your blocks. It's gonna bring up all. It's like therapy, starting a business, and money will amplify any flaws you have. It will amplify any generosities that you have, or, you know, any good traits that you have. And I think there's one thing in the crypto space, or there's an indicator, the fear and greed indicator. It's amazing what fear and greed does to people, because, you know, if you were to say to someone between now and 10 years time you could 10 times your net worth, they'd bite your arm off. But then they get into the Bitcoin or the crypto space where they see how exponentially their money is growing because they're early, and all of a sudden 10xing your wealth in 10 years is nothing. And you just think, well, hang on a minute. If you have enough money to play with, or you build up to a significant amount of money to be putting into the market, and you double your money every 2-3 years, if you're talking about a significant amount of money, that probably is enough to quit your job in a couple of years' time. But people just lose the plot when like you said, you're not equipped to deal with lots of attention or lots of followers. It's the same with money. People get it and they don't know what to do with it. And I've noticed so many, whether it's in your community or other social media platforms, where there's people wanting to get wealthy from crypto or from Bitcoin, but they still hate their life. Like, they're still in a job they don't like. They're bitching about their wife and kids, and it's like, oh, hang on a minute. Like, what's the purpose of all of this, you know? And you made a tweet the other day about you'd rather make money from business than deal with a lot of the emotions that people have around crypto. So tell us a bit about your thoughts on that. There don't seem to be many people in the space.
I think the problem is, and this is genuine truth that I believe this, I think a lot of people are faking it until they make it. I think a lot of people have still got that mindset of the normal life, but they're translating it poorly on Twitter. I mean, yeah, I'm quite a grumpy sod, but it's because I'm northern. To be fair, I'm brash anyways. my
You're not
tweets
grumpy.
just don't translate. It's dark, it's sarcasm, and I am going to try. I've probably used that in a newsletter one day just to kind of give people motivation. But the reality is, people, they say that they're making money.
Yeah.
And they're saying that they've done this, they're saying that they've done that. But the reality is, like, what they're actually portraying is very different. Like, I'm not going to out influencers because that's harsh, but I know a lot of them still have full-time jobs. But if they're making or claim to make 6 figures in a month trading Ethereum in the biggest range ever over the last 2 weeks, they're not. If you are making 6 figures a month, you are not working your 9-to-5 job. It's simple as that. You have opportunity for freedom, and no one can get that freedom other than yourself by buying early and then taking profit. And it reminds me of the meme where you've got like the person like holding the balloon is getting pulled back, you know, like you got 8 hours sleep into a crypto, but you got the other one of, oh, I made 10x, but I want to make another 10x. It's like, you've got to know when the music stops. And for me, the reason why I got out of the market last time, near the top and just after the top, was I looked at my wallet and I was like, I'm a normal guy. 5 years ago, was in the Air Force. Literally been told when I can go on holiday, what I can do. And I've got all this money and it's there. And I just went, you know what, I'm going to take it. And it's the same for social media following. It's like, you see it. And I fell into this trap as well. Like, my YouTube was growing really quickly. I was getting the views. I was getting addicted to the views and the growth. And it's the same with that. You've got to be careful. It's like a slippery slope. And then you start doing the wrong thing in the poor ethics. And I've made some wrong calls in that cycle, which I think everyone does. But the reality is, like, people do the wrong things to get the growth, which means money, which means paid shills, which means horrible content and faking it till they make it, because they're used to it. They're used to it in a bull market. Now they're like faking it really badly because they've been burned probably. So they've got to keep it. They've got to keep it up, don't they? They've got to keep the face of it, and that's where the sad times is of the market. And like you say, people need to get burned to find out, and it happens.
It's the dark side of money, but this is the thing. It's like it does amplify who someone really is and their values, and I think that's why you're such a great example. Because, like you said, you know, my next question was what does freedom mean to you? And you've pretty much just articulated it. Like, what, when you look back, if you could plan the next 10 years of your life, what does freedom now mean? Because I mean, especially from someone who'd been in the military, you know, you go. I don't know what your reasons were for going into the military. Maybe it was just a job. But what were they?
I always wanted to do policing, weirdly, and the opportunity came, and it was always short term, the military, just to experience it and get. Okay. It was oddly just life experience, because I only did 6 years, but it allowed me to leave home. It allowed me to just focus on myself and do my own thing. And I think that's kind of what you need to do. And the reality was, it was either that or save and buy a house. But when you're on minimum wage and you've got no real prospects, especially where I live, it's not the greatest place in the world, I'll be honest. So there's not many opportunities, especially for someone like me who's not the brightest academically. I was kind of more the daydreamer and trying to do other things, whereas maths, weirdly, I've got dyscalculia, so I can't read numbers very well. I can see patterns, which is probably good for the charts, but reading numbers, I'm terrible. So people probably notice this in my videos. I don't mention numbers. Yeah, I don't mention numbers many in my videos. Like, I make it so it's kind of obvious numbers, but because I say them back to front. It's just, but I only found that out in the military. So all the way through school, I was like, I can't do maths. I literally cannot do maths. So yeah, all that kind of stuff does happen, but it's mad.
That's inspiration for any young kids, though. Like, that's such a common entrepreneur's story, though. Is either school dropout or high school dropout, university, college dropout, whatever. You know, so in answer to the question, like, what did freedom mean to you when you were a kid or when you were leaving home to go into the military? It was to leave home. It was that sense of fending for yourself. It's just ironic because, you know, some people go into the military to defend the freedom of their country, and you know, it was more just...
The military is a weird one because you are tied into this element of, you know, let's just say it's like very nationalistic in terms of ideology of like you have to like defend and stuff, but also
you're
it's
a patriot.
Yeah, kind of way, in a way, but also you don't have much freedom in the military because anything can happen at any given time, and your holiday gets cancelled, or you've got to work this, you've got to work that, and you're doing like 18-hour days, certain things when something goes wrong, which, yes, in some ways, to help people in like humanitarian crisis and stuff, which I have done, is a great feeling to be a part of. But at the other side of it, it isn't true freedom. So it's a mixed bag. But in terms of life skills, the military has made me such a different person. Like, I mean, same with Gaz. Gaz, my business partner now, ex-military. We're both ex-military, and I teach like I'm in the military. So this is why I'm a bit brutal, to be fair. I'm a bit brash and harsh. But we're dealing with money, and you've got to like show people the consequences of like, there's an idiot, and then there's being a bit silly. There's a lot of people that are like idiotic with money and they don't care, but you need to show people why they're an idiot, and to show them, right, if you stop doing that and do this, you'll be all right. And then it, as you say, it takes people to learn the hard way of like, I've just lost my money. Oh no. Oh, what, right, cool. And then they like ask you, well, what can I do to do better? You need to do this, and then they get it, and then they understand because the moments happen. But try and tell people during the height of a bull market that they're going to lose all their money because they've just bought a scam, and they're not willing to take a profit because they think it's going to go to the next level. It's like banging your head against the wall, really. It is. It's like they just don't listen. It's like, well, you crack on. And then they come back like 6 months later and they're like, you were right. Sorry, mate.
Well, and from a business perspective, I think for you, that's just the best way to be. It's like you have customers for life now, because they see the difference 100%. Between the way you teach and what you said. And it's not about being right. It's money. And this is what kind of where I've gone with my own brand. And I've still not really narrowed it down enough, but I like the general nature of Be You Get Paid, because if people do understand money and they do understand themselves, everyone's situation is subjective. My situation was all or nothing, and so I did put a significant amount of money in, but I also had a huge sense of responsibility on my shoulders, and I was somewhat fortunate to find you when I did before the bull run, but I did the same thing. I watched my money go and go exponentially grow, but I didn't take profit. I took some, and I did well enough and was aware enough of my situation to go, well, hang on a minute, that buys me a year off, or that buys me another 6 months. And I think people just don't sit down and look at their own subjective situation, which you're always encouraging people to do. But yeah, it's unfortunately people need to learn their own lesson with that one.
It's a harsh reality, but at the end of the day, like, if people are looking at like 100 to like literally, like, I had a member probably about a year ago, and he had 3 million on the table. 3 million. Whoa.
I mean, we don't know, that could be that could be small change to someone, but yeah.
But it's money makes money, and you got to build. And this is what I said before. People don't see that side of it. They don't see like that first investment and growing it. And like, I did a video on it. First bull cycle that I was in, I made 250,000 in unrealized profit from 2000. Like, what? How? Just the height of the ICO market was unbelievable. And yeah, I lost most of that easily. Lost most of it. I kept some of it, which was enough for me to leave the Air Force and to build this business. But I would have been in a much better position if I did two things: take profit better, and also buy a lot lower than what I could have done in the following cycle in the future. But you live and learn. Every time you make a mistake, you get better. Like most things. And it's, I think, what people aren't aware of with this market, and I want to focus on Bitcoin in a minute, but it's that any market where there's an opportunity to make money works in cycles. And I didn't know anything about that until I got involved in Bitcoin and crypto, and now it's pretty much Bitcoin only. But it's just understanding that it is cycles, and you have to stick around, and that's no different to starting a business. There is no shortcut. There is no, or education is the shortcut. But the other thing is, it teaches you so much about what a business, and your tweet was so spot on the other day. I think people come into crypto, and I was doing this as well, or Bitcoin only, and there's so much to learn. Like, even just the speed at which Bitcoin is moving,
there's now this Nostra network and the protocols that are being built on Bitcoin and Lightning and ordinals. And every day I'm like, oh my God, I can't learn all this stuff. So how people think they can do Bitcoin and crypto and read and have that amount of learning to do on multiple projects, it's a full-time job. And I'm by all means, quit your job and follow Ash and start investing in crypto if you think that's what you want. But it also gets to a point where I was just like, I don't want to stare at charts all day. I don't want to be reading about this stuff I don't really care about. And the more I went down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, the more I realized, oh, this is so much more aligned with what I believe. And I feel like the fact that you're now focusing on higher cap coins, I don't see a time where you'll probably be Bitcoin only, but you still preach, Bitcoin is money. If you're going to put a little bit into the market and have a portfolio of altcoins, you always talk about having Bitcoin and taking profit in Bitcoin, because if it all goes tits up, you still got money because it is money.
Yeah. That's the scariest thing. It's like my portfolio even today is still Bitcoin is my number one. It's like the heaviest weight, and I've reduced it because going a little bit risky this time. So my plan is to go with the high cap coins. Right now, dominance is quite high. The Satoshis are quite low. It's quite nice. So I will be taking a lot of profit into Bitcoin and then obviously into USD as well, for obvious reasons, to live, and I can keep my Bitcoin chilling. Or if I want to sell my Bitcoin when I think it's too high and come back when the cycle cools off, wink, wink, hint, hint, should always look to do that, but always be exposed, always have something. I held majority of my Bitcoin throughout the bear cycle because I knew it was okay. I was like, yeah, cool. I'll sell everything else. That's fine. I'll come back to that. Yeah. And then I'll come back to it later on. It's like, hi, you're cheap. I'll buy you. Thanks. And people forget that it's an opportunity to buy low, take profit, buy again, and get more. And it's like, once people see it through time, it's like, all right, I get it now. Well,
people think day trading is the answer, and I think you and Gaz have always preached like it's a lot less work to invest, be patient, keep your job, get on with your life, and just keep DCA accumulating, which is where I've got to with it. I'm like, I would rather focus on something like a business that I enjoy, that keeps me engaged, that I feel good about, than having sleepless nights, checking prices all the time. But you it's almost like a rite of passage. I think if that's what it's going to take to get more people to get to a point where they're investing primarily in Bitcoin, I'm still tempted to go with altcoins because it's fun, like to see those exponential gains. But it's like, I'm literally talking like I might chuck $100 in here and there and be like, oh, let's see what that does. But I don't have the time to sit and read about them and do the fundamental research, which is what you teach. And I just feel like there's so much going on in the world now. What do you think of where we're at with the macro picture and banks failing again? And do you think this is going to be, this time it's different? Do you think we're getting to a point where people are waking up to the fact that the world is actually changing now with money? Or do you think we've got another couple of 4-year cycles to go and it'll still be the same and there'll be no regulation? And
I've always been an advocate, and I'll go back to the previous point of like lifestyle of you've got to live and breathe it, and having too many altcoins makes it hard. And then macro, you got to understand the macro, and then you got to understand all that. So my company now teaches a lot around the macro. I've got a lot of good guys in my community that are unbelievable at macro. I'm not the biggest macro guy. I do the basics, but boring. They consume it. They consume content about gold, about oil, about gas, about non-farm payroll data records and CPI. I do CPI reactions because they're brilliant on my YouTube live. I think they're amazing. But you need to know it. But for me, I've said it for a long time. I think it's bullish. Like when you see banks failing, people need safety, and that used to be gold, silver, rare art collections, certain types of property, cars as well, weirdly. And then now you've got this new thing, which is all digital, which is pretty odd for a lot of people to get their head around, but it's Bitcoin. And it's potentially some top cap altcoins as well, in my opinion.
You're talking about store of value. Sorry to cut you off.
Yes.
You're talking about where people want to put their money so that they know in 10 years' time they've got something other than their job. Retirement type thing. You're not talking about savings, short-term savings?
Cash is good short-term. Cash is always good short-term to have to be liquid. There's other things you can do for tax efficiency, but other than that, you're limited because there's limits on those. But if you've got money that is just sat there doing nothing, you need to put it somewhere. And this is why I like certain types of altcoins at certain times, right? It's like staking protocols. You've got to buy them when they're low. You've got to stake it in the bear market when it's low, and then unstake it in the bull market to get the value appreciation out. Bitcoin's different. You can hodl that for as long as you want, but be mindful of an overvalued Bitcoin, because I want free Bitcoin. I'm going to sell part of it and I'll come back later on. Short-term cash is king, as they say, because you can then use it for something else. But when that Bitcoin then becomes a little bit more cheap, undervalued, you just go, I'll have some of that, thank you, bye. And then your money's back into where it was. And like I always say, hold Bitcoin, have exposure to it, because it also balances your portfolio. If you're heavy in altcoins, you're going to notice when the dominance changes and it's like, oh, I'm losing Bitcoin. But it's usually short term, so it's not too bad. But if people don't understand the metric, it's like, oh God. But yeah, you've got to think logic here. The macro doesn't look good, but it's not as bad, in my opinion, not as bad as what people are led to believe. I think it's okay, but pressure on banks is always bad, and this is what's making Bitcoin go into this like little bit of hype at the minute, literally a year before halving, which is kind of exciting in a way, because that kind of could be a big catapult potentially. But as I say, it's all speculation. It's all what ifs, maybes, and there's no expert in the market, but you just got to read what you see.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I still don't love even talking about altcoins anymore, because I know that beginners just think, oh, well, they're cheaper than Bitcoin, but you can buy $5 worth of Bitcoin. That's the minimum that Amber have on their app. Like, you can just stick $5. And I just wish people would just go into Bitcoin first, understand what it is, because then you can critical think much better about why an altcoin is necessary or why a token is necessary, like you were saying before. But beginners who have gone into it, I think it's so valuable to hear you speak, because most probably wouldn't even realize you can even trade those altcoins for Bitcoin. So when things start to go south, they think they're just losing, and their money's evaporating. It's like, I didn't even know in 2017, watching I don't even want to say what it was, but my various investments that I'd made very poorly, I didn't know you could trade them for Bitcoin. I just watched them go and just gave up and was like, oh, well. But, that's even just that alone. And then your strategy with the dominance is very clever. But that's the whole point, is if everything went away tomorrow and we were all told we have this new form of money called Bitcoin, what are you gonna do? And that's just the point I really want people to drive home if they are listening to you or listening to this.
Whatever the dream of more freedom and happiness might mean to you, be it more money, more time, flexibility of location, or simply more personal freedom to indulge those forgotten passions and long-lost creativity, starting a one-person business on the internet can be so much simpler, not to mention a whole lot of fun, than you might think. When it comes to creating happiness in this brave new modern world, my motto will always be, quite simply, be you and get paid. To me, those two things are pretty key to succeeding in most areas of life. And there really has never been a better time to quite literally get paid for being you by understanding how to build income streams on the internet. I'm sure you're a lot smarter than the teenagers with zero life experience you have seen making a small fortune. But even with no experience, there's no need for any of that outdated and awkward stuff like cold calling, convincing friends and family, or endlessly posting on social media. Anyone who's ever built a business of any size will tell you one golden rule. Keep it simple, stupid. Build simple digital skills and assets that build simple income streams that for many people, and I've seen it many times, can more than replace an average salary in the space of a year or two. If working hard was the key to success, wouldn't a lot more of us already be successful? It's all about learning to work smarter long-term instead of harder. Head over to bugetpaid.com/launch to start discovering the perfect one-person business path for you, with all the tools and training that you'll need under one roof. And if you decide to sign up to our introductory curriculum, Modern Wealthy, I'll be there to cheer you on with monthly Q&A coaching calls. That's bugetpaid.com/launch.
And that's just the point I really want people to drive home if they are listening to you or listening to this. So back to being you and getting paid. When you decided to start your education company, so you've got Learning Crypto, you've also got Patreon, you've got 60 odd thousand now on YouTube?
60, give or take.
Closing in. Well done. But I think you're about 20,000 when I first found you. And I think a lot of people see that and they think, oh yeah, YouTube influencers, they make all their money from ads. That's one, as far as I'm aware, that's one of the last things you make money from. And I think this is where I try and get across to people. And you said it to me when we first met, is you've built a brand and the opportunities that gives you. You've got a Patreon that's not very expensive, but a couple of hundred people, you've got that. You've got referral links to the recommended exchanges that you would tell. So every time I do a podcast, my phone does something on an alarm that I've set to put my bins out. Sorry about that. And there's just, I think it's that trust, I think, is what you've built. And so people seek out your referral links to the trusted exchanges but the big following, there's a guy I'm following on Twitter at the moment who says likes ain't cash. The size of your following is not, it brings its own 100%. World of problems and haters and all the rest of it. But there's so many different income streams that I think you're probably generating purely by building trust and being a trusted voice in a particular industry. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is. I mean, going back to the ads, I think I make about £150 a month, if I'm lucky, on ads. Ads are pointless.
And you're at the mercy of whatever they decide they're going to pay you next month if they change those rules.
And oddly, financial services, that whole caveat thing, is the most valuable. It's the most expensive that they pay. So what I get is but I can see how people make a lot of money on it because of the views, but I don't seek the views. Yes, I've made some changes to my brand. I've made it better. I've got better thumbnails now, which I'm quite enjoying doing, actually.
I've noticed that.
Quite fun. And it is working because my brand is now growing again, but it's also because the market's uplifted. But I'm also I've decided to change it a little bit in terms of let's go and find the new people that really need someone like me in their lives to hopefully help them. Because if they're following the typical type of YouTuber, and it's not that they're finding them, it's what they're searching for. And I need to figure out that what they're searching for is what they're going to get. And I could easily do a video like that, but be like, oh, this is different. And hopefully it kind of just goes, oh, I like this guy. And that's usually what happens. I just convert people. And I said it before, my company does well in a bear market. So does my YouTube channel. It's actually quite steady. It's because it's realistic, because it's the thing that's happening right now. People don't want to see 5 coins that are going to explode in the bear market, in the height of the bear market, because they're just going to get wrecked. And people were just doing that content over and over. And in between those were little paid advertisements. Yeah, they still do. And it's scary. But that's the reality of it. And the fundamentals of making money is trust. And it's leverage at the end of the day. But I've seen so many people that have grown fake followers by just doing paid shout outs and the buy influencer followers on Instagram and Twitter, and they've got thousands of followers. I think there's one account, I'm not going to mention the name of it, but they've got 90,000 followers on Twitter, but their YouTube channel gets about 18 to 25 views per video. If that doesn't just go, that's not right, I don't know what it is. So that's another thing as well. We're talking about influencers. Of the follower count means nothing. The blue tick means nothing. And you've got to look at what they're saying. And there's a lot of companies out there and accounts that manage these as well. And it's all just fake engagement because of what it is. And it's they may make some money, but it's always it's sketchy, very, very sketchy.
It is. And I think this is where I've just become so passionate about looking at what money does to people, because the people that come in and get burnt just had no self-awareness in the first place. They just want get rich quick. And unfortunately, most people have to go through the pain of that hurting before realising that there is no get rich quick in anything.
Like we
100%.
say 2 full cycles of Bitcoin can set you up for life just buying Bitcoin. Like DCA, $10 a week, $20 a week, whatever you can manage your coffee budget into Bitcoin every week for 4 years is probably going to outperform any attempt to try and, get clever with altcoins and stuff like that. So where do you see, if we are going to just wrap up with Bitcoin only, what do you think, how do you see it becoming mainstream? Do you see it happening in our lifetime? Or do you think it's going to be more of these underdeveloped countries adopting it first and the Western governments just pretending it's internet funny money?
I think there'll be a time where it'll adapt. We're already seeing a lot of stuff happening in those high inflation countries. We've got reserve rights doing their RPay or the EUSD now, which is working very well as an alternative strategy. But Bitcoin, to me, it's an odd one, right? Because I go back and it is contradictory, but I did laugh at people when the height of the 2021 cycle and everyone's like, mass adoption, this time's different, we're going to the moon, we've made it. I'm like, no, we haven't. Because even today, I have never used Bitcoin to spend my money in a real shop. And I think that's where we are. We're still miles away. The UK doesn't have many of those sort of terminals. The UK has a lot of startups and people working in blockchain, but the infrastructure of human to shop to product isn't there yet. It will get there. It'll take time, which is why I think we're still early. But the Lightning Network's getting better. It's more efficient. The blockchain element around the hash rate and the energy consumption is also improving over time. It just takes time, but we've got those regulation dinosaurs that are literally holding stuff back, and it's like, oh God. But at the end of the day, you can't change what's programmed, which is money. And the reality is you need to be exposed to something. And I know I'm a big advocate for altcoins and Bitcoin, but at the same time, I always think, well, if I can take profit into Bitcoin, I will. And the USD will be used for something else, or for me to buy something silly at home, or random stuff. But the reality is we've got to wait, and it is getting better. But I mean, I'm looking at the price now. We're 28,100 right now as of today. Last night, a lot of news came out about Interpol and Binance. We're strong. The market is strong right now, and it's exciting times. But at the end of the day, like, nothing's changed since 2016 for me. Literally, like, it's still the same. But it's just taking time. It is taking time.
Yeah,
a long time.
And I guess that's just testament to everything you've seen and everything you know, and it's not letting your emotions get the better of you, whatever you're following, because no one knows what's going to happen. I guess what I would then ask you is, what do you think people need to be aware of with hearing things like CBDC and they're not paying attention to crypto or Bitcoin? They've seen banks fail. We've seen a pandemic play out where a lot of rules and mandates were put in place and no one's really woken up. Like, what would you say to people who, well, we're already on digital money. What would you say to someone who isn't aware of what a CBDC is?
Learn quickly what it is and understand it's not good for anything. Like, it is the worst possible thing that could happen to the financial system. Not like, I would rather have 20 years of the existing traditional market system than have 1 year of that. But like, it is control. It is government eyeballs in your wallet, literally. And it's scary. Like, I am all for digital cash in the terms of, well, it's kind of obvious, really. Why would we? Like, I don't use cash. I don't use cash at all, hardly
That's
ever.
what we've got now.
And I'm that person that goes to the supermarket thinking, oh, I've not got £1. Oh, bugger. I never have
trolley.
it. Literally never have. Yeah. I'm like, it's mad.
That's funny.
It is mad. But the reality is, right, we've got this system where they want to do this thing where they're going to put a spending limit on your money, or you could get like fined through it. It's like, what? I mean, the idea in principle kind of, like, when you put it on paper, it kind of like, oh, digital cash in a wallet, cool. But then when they add on everything around it, it's like, wow, that's dumb. So it's scary when you think about it. I just think leave it as it is, and Bitcoin can become an alternative method, or even other altcoins that are fast and efficient with a payment gateway. Like, it's not hard to put a payment gateway in a shop, is it? And then you can use your Coinbase or whatever brand. You know, there's all anything with a QR code really that you can send your money over. I mean, Ledger's got a new one coming out eventually, which you can spend on the go, but that's where we need to be, not central bank digital currencies.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think people just don't know enough about money in its existing form. It's just this new. I think if it actually does get rolled out and people are told you need to be. I haven't looked into the legalities of it, but I don't know if they roll out a CBDC, will you be told you have to physically move your money from your existing account into a new one? Hopefully, at that point, people will ask why, rather than just the banks turning around and going, oh, your bank balance is now in this currency. Surely there's a point where they'd have to say, and maybe someone listening can reach out and tell us, I don't know, but there must be some sort of constitutional legality around if they change your money into a different currency, you have to give the go ahead. And if that happens, hopefully the media will get onto it and be saying, you know, well, how is this different? Hang on a minute. I hope that people have the wherewithal to question it anyway.
I don't think it'll happen as easy as that. A lot of people don't understand money anyways. Like, no. When I speak to my friends and stuff and they're like asking, oh, how's Bitcoin? Like, they don't get what Bitcoin is, but they don't get the concept of, well, cash is technically worthless.
Yeah.
It's just a value of what it says. I mean, we can all rebel against that. And they just don't understand like the true value of other things and what to do with the money. But central bank funds or stable currency funds or whatever you want to know them as could work if it's just done like for like as a traditional system, but it's on a ledger, for example. And it's better for security elements, it's better for stuff like that, utilising blockchain technology. But we all know it's not going to be like that, is it?
It's an invasion of privacy.
Which is a scary thing because... If it wasn't an invasion of privacy, it would be different. But it's the same with cash, though. Cash is like the most obvious thing that you can use. You can take £200 out of the cash point or $200, whatever, and you can spend so much on drugs and you can spend so much on food. No one's going to know what you spent it on drugs.
Yeah.
But whereas with anything on a distributed ledger, it's the whole point of like that personal kind of privacy of you keeping your wallet safe, but at the same time, there's a record of what you've been doing, which is kind of why I like Bitcoin in a way, because you can keep it private, but also you can kind of see what you've been doing, which is
that's the key difference.
Good for certain things.
I don't think people will say, oh, well, if it stops drugs and stops bad things, it's like, no. There's always going to be bad people in the world. There's always going to be bad things in the world. And the people that want to do that will find a way to do it. Unfortunately, that's just humans.
100%.
So, yeah, anyone who doesn't understand that, unfortunately, there's no short way around it. You need to learn what money is, what Bitcoin is, and then understand the CBDC piece before it just gets rolled out. So just wrapping up, quick question. Does money bring happiness?
Nah.
Really?
I mean... It's good to have it, but you need a life to have it. Like, I've went through a lot of things the last few years with my life, and I was the wealthiest I've ever been, and I wasn't happy because of relationship breakdowns, my best friend passing away and stuff like that, horrible stuff. I wasn't happy because I wasn't doing anything with it. Now I'm much happier, but I've got the people around me. You got to put people around you, in my opinion. Good people around you makes things better. And I go back to what I said before, like, of like influences and stuff. Like, I've fallen out with a lot of people because they became a bit stupid with money and Billy Big Bollocks and all that kind of stuff. And the reality is, it's a bit draining. But money's nice to have, don't get me wrong, but it's how you use it, like reality-wise. Like, people can have it and blow it. People can have none and be the happiest ever. But I'm always in that middle ground of like, it's nice to have it. It's nice to have no problems. It's nice to go to the petrol station and just hold the nozzle and not care what goes in the car. I mean, my car drinks, to be fair, so it's probably a good thing. But, you know, some people can't have that luxury. So it's one of those things. It's a controversial one. But for me, I don't think it does buy happiness, because you can have millions in the bank, but you could be miserable because you've got no one to share it with.
I just lost you briefly there. So, given the
the theme of this podcast, freedom and happiness, would you say money is freedom, not necessarily happiness?
Yes, 100%. Money allows you to do stuff, anything you want within reason, and you've got to have it. You've got to have it to enjoy it. But the reality is, people would rather just save and save and save and not do anything with it and take it to the grave with them, which is kind of like my personal motto is you can't take it to the grave with you. And
I think true freedom for me is, yes, there's a financial piece, but it's the personal freedom as well, which is the BU piece of BU get paid. So it's like, you can buy your freedom. Money can bring you that, but you can't buy happiness. It definitely having that freedom to start. If you can buy yourself time to work on your happiness and have the headspace to look at what's important, I think that's where it all comes together for me. So good answer. Very good. People around you, community. It's absolutely what most people that have been through the journey would say. Go on.
I could add to it and say time is the best currency.
Ooh, like that.
Because it is in a way, because when you think
inflated.
about it, the 9 to 5 working week is you're exchanging your time for money. And then if you got the money, you can then have the time, and then that time will eventually pay you back. And it's pretty interesting. That's how I kind of work it.
And for a lot of people, their 9 to 5 job is great. I think where I have just started to really try and focus is that if you're in a job that you don't enjoy, don't let yourself get trapped in it, because if you understand money, life isn't going to get any cheaper. So whether investing in the crypto market, Bitcoin only, or just putting some autopilot savings into Bitcoin and having 20, 30, 40% of your savings going in there on autopilot with something like Amber or one of these platforms that's Bitcoin only to start with, that having that skin in the game taught me to start understanding money and how it works. And a lot of people just will never get that. It's not always the most riveting information to be reading, but I think that's where it all comes together for me. It's Bitcoin is this kind of freedom money. And yes, if you're early enough to it, you have the opportunity to build a huge amount of wealth that you might get to enjoy. But it's also given me this sense of being part of something that is going to leave the world a slightly better place. Should it be adopted, because it's got a good mission. It's just trying to make it fair. And I think people in the Western world are chasing their tail. They're never getting ahead. But when you start to look further afield, we're actually incredibly privileged. And there's people out there that are having their currencies devalued overnight in some cases. So you're kind of adding to a benevolent project as well by just helping this thing become more adopted. And then if you've got, silly money to throw around, go follow Ash and learn how to put together a portfolio of altcoins. And I'm going to leave it there because it still makes me shudder to even encourage people to do it. Bitcoin first. We agree on that. Thank you so much. Any last 1 or 2 thoughts, actionable advice or warnings that you want to give people about these markets if they're going to come and look you up?
Just be wary of value, i.e. what's undervalued, what's overvalued, what's hyped up, and always look to take profit in Bitcoin. Like, even if it's 10%, 20% of your altcoin funds into Bitcoin, it adds up and then it grows. I mean, who doesn't want free Bitcoin? I've always been an advocate of, like, I'm not buying Bitcoin at 28,000 because I've dollar cost averaged like $600, but I've got my altcoins for that. I can just add to it. And if I get any free money, if I find it on a random exchange that I've forgotten about, I'll just put it into Bitcoin. It's fine. Oh,
that's always nice, isn't it? When you've been dicking around in altcoins for years and then you forget because there's so many exchanges. And then I did it the other day. I went to, I unsubscribed from one of their mailing lists. I thought, I forgot I joined that exchange when I didn't know what I was doing. And I found like $400. Like, that's like Christmas.
Way.
Don't do that, people. Keep it simple. Very good advice. So where can people find you? Where are you most active?
You can find me on YouTube. Put in Market Mobster, you'll probably find me, or learningcrypto.co.uk if you want to genuinely learn. Yeah,
it's a true story. You will. There is no shortcut. The education is the shortcut. That's always my advice.
Cool. Thank you so much. I'll make sure all of those links are wherever anyone is listening. And yeah, see you at the top of the bull market when we're all rich again. That's so irresponsible. Don't listen to me.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Thanks so much for taking the time to tune in to this podcast. I really appreciate it. If you found it helpful or useful, or even if you just feel a tiny bit better for having listened, there's a couple of things you can do that would take a few seconds that I'd really appreciate you taking the time to do. First thing you can do is subscribe wherever you're listening. If that's on a podcast platform, it's usually just pressing the plus sign next to the main show listing page. If you're on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel or give us a like on the video. If you're feeling really generous, you can leave us a comment or a review. That's either on YouTube or the podcast platforms once again. If you feel like anyone else in your life might benefit from any of the topics that you hear us talking about, feel free to send them an episode. And lastly, feel free to give me feedback, comments, suggestions, or personal reviews and thoughts and feelings on social media. And tag me so I can thank you. It's at Amy Taylor Says on Instagram or Twitter, or send me an email on amy@bugetpaid.com. Thanks again for listening. Don't forget to keep being you, keep getting paid, but most importantly, just be happy. Oh, and by the way, if you didn't enjoy it, don't do any of those things. You just go have a nice day. Save your time. Thanks.